Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of the China Innovation Decoded powered by Microsoft for Startups Shanghai. This week, we have invited Andi Chen, COO from Well. A previous McKinsey consultant covering digital retail sector, Andi decided to quit his job at McKinsey and join his partner Jerry to start Well, focusing on transforming the customer experience by creating a future shop. Hi, Andi. Welcome. So why don't you start by introducing yourself and why did you start Well?
Thank you, Summer. My name is Andi. I'm the co-founder and the chief operating officer of Well. Actually, previously from Well, I was working at McKinsey for 4 years as a strategy consultant, mostly covering digital retail sectors. The typical projects I have involved including helping global large FMCG to design the e-commerce strategy and the omni-channel consumer experience. So when the time back to 2017, I was thinking, it's a time for us is to really do something for ourselves and not just give recommendations for clients, but really have a chance to implement those recommendations to capture the digital age, especially in retail. And at that time, I met my college mate, Jerry, who was at that time at Facebook as a data engineer. Mm-hmm. He actually has a very similar ideas. He has a very strong background in two different technology sectors. One is Internet of Things. The other is the data analytics. So we have a pretty random chat and immediately we think it's a time for us to really jump out the big corp and launch the startups, especially in China. So in 2017, we think Jerry came back to China and I jumped after McKinsey and launched the Well. So that's how the Well was initially founded.
So you guys both decided to come back to China?
Yes. I was always at China, but Jerry made a very significant decisions to come back to China. Yeah.
And how did you convince him, or how did he decide to come back? Or did you guys see the markets or what? The market potential?
Yeah, I actually I think there's two things that are quite obvious at the time. The first is China, especially in the retail sector, has a really strong momentum in 2017. A lot of VC was betting in their sectors. So it's a pretty good times for us to get started. The second is China itself has a very good market for retail, very large market for retail, and the technology itself, we would think has more freedom to apply in these sectors in China compared to the US. So, for example, Jerry did a similar study at Harvard for a local bookstore to using cameras to capture the consumer track in store to optimize the store layout. The legal documents process have not completed for about 6 months until it's completed. So it turns out that you could never have something significantly done in that stage in the US, given such a long legal process.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha. And so I think you were talking with me about the idea of this future shop before. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. What we're really creating is a brand new products, marketing products, what we call the AI and IoT enabled marketing products in the brick and mortar spaces for the brands. The typical products we're offering what we call the digital gondola or digital shelf. We embedded face recognition cameras, sensor fusion technologies, and also the Well Hub, which process the edge computing powers in the shelf. And with the interactive screen, we can real-time interact with consumers based on consumers' experience. So, for example, when the consumer approach our shelves, the screen will say welcome and say hi and attract the consumer to stay. When the consumer pick up the products details, including videos, commercials, comments, will automatically pump up in the screen. So the consumer can know everything about the products it needs to just by picking up. And then when the consumer hold the products for about 5 seconds to 8 seconds, the system signal that it may really get interested in it. So we will pump up the coupon for consumer to scan and redeem. The whole logic is quite similar to the e-commerce platforms. Basically, we attract the volumes, attract the time span, increasing the time span and increasing the conversion rate. But we replicate this same logics in online, which is quite mature online, to the brick model space. That's what we do. It turned out this solution, the IoT, the solution has significantly increased the sales conversion, normally by 15% to 35%. And it creates a very strong, it get a very strong interest for brands what we have in touch with. Yeah.
So you're focusing on like enhancing customers' experience. Yeah. So do you think that's like a trend in China today or like other places in the world? And is there a difference between, for example, big cities like Shanghai, Beijing, and versus like some second tier or third tier cities in China? Yeah.
First of all, in my opinion, I think the consumer, no matter it's in online shopping settings or brick model settings, hunger for information, for product information. They require humongous information for consumer to digest to make a single purchasing decisions. However, traditionally in brick model space, the information flow was quite segmented. You can see that in the past 30 to even 45 years in the brick model space, you can the in-store product experience is still limited to the POSM, the traditional POSM, the product display, and maybe the BA or ISA introductions. So what we created is a new product and a consumer interaction platform interface by connecting the product's information, maybe in online or social media, bridge to the in-store experience to the consumers. This is what we do. And with your second question, it's very interesting. In about 10 years ago, a lot of FMCG companies, especially in China, would normally go abroad to the US or UK or European countries to learn how they do business. But in recent years, especially last year and this year, we see more and more trends as that global leaders of their FMCG brands come to China to learn how China do the business, especially
copy from China.
Yes, copy from China, especially how Chinese company incorporate these technologies to improving consumer experience and also drive the efficiencies. One example is we have partnered with one global FMCG companies in China. We did a pilot first in China, and their global CEOs came to China and visit the store, visit products. They're very excited to bring this solution, similar solution, to their countries, to the UK and the US. So that's just one example. We see there is a very strong trends for these global companies copy to China, not copy, but learn from China how we China do this. Yeah.
So you are also exploring like overseas market, or you're focusing. What's your focus right now?
Yeah, we our main market focus will definitely is doing mainland because it's a very
Huge market.
It's a very interesting story that the I think entrepreneurs in China and the US has a very good luxury that you just need to focus the main homeland market because the market itself is large enough
huge, right?
for you to digest. But we have several pilot programs outside of China. For example, in Japan, we have partnered with Cosmo. Cosmo is the very famous beauty brands in Japan. We have partnered with Cosmos to actually implement our solution in Japan market. We also channeling with our global FMCG brands to have chance to channeling our products, solutions to European countries and also Southeast Asia. Yeah.
But there is not such a difference between like what cities in China are you focusing on right now, or is there a difference between like people's needs for like the experience, so-called experience, between like different cities, or?
We don't see a huge differences or huge gaps of consumers, the experience needs per city tiers, but we see huge difference in age groups. For example, we see that the millennial generations are very get used to these new experiences. One of our leading clients did a group studies interviewing with about more than 100 after 95 consumers, saying whether they would like to talk to BAs in store. Most of the feedback saying that the younger generation did not comfortable talking to people in store. Yeah. They were more comfortable interacting with the screen rather than talking to people. So
because everyone is like using their phone all the time, and
they don't want to be bothered by in-store sales or the beauty advisors or ISA, whatever you call it. They are more comfortable to explore the products themselves. And when it is necessary, they would like to call for needs from these in-store sales. But otherwise, they're more comfortable to explore the products themselves.
Yeah, I sometimes feel the same way when I walk into a store and I don't really know what I need, and I just kind of want to explore it on my own, and then some shopping guys would like keep asking you if you need help, and that's So I guess with your product, like so we still need like those shopping guides in the store, or they're kind of shifting from their previous roles. Like how does that work?
Yeah, I would say our solution is not aim to replacing the BAs or shopping the in-store sales. This is not our fundamental goal. Our fundamental goal is to improve the utilizations of these people. For example, the 80% of their jobs was basically introducing products, giving more products introduction to the consumers, and these information, the materials, can be done and maybe done better with the solution, our solutions. So they can focus to more human side of the service. For example, in the beauty sectors, they could give a more personalized advice on how this particular lipsticks will, how you're gonna better use that. So I think this is how we aim. The end goal is to improve the efficiency of these people and not replacing them. Yeah.
But I'm thinking if you like change every shelf, like is that your goal to change like all the shelves in the store into kind of like an interactive like mode, or but if that is the case, like don't people spend more time like exploring? Would that be like a future like kind of problem? Because people will be lining up trying to use that machine. Or
Yeah, that's a very interesting questions. It's not actually how we position our solution is marketing solutions for the brands and retailers. Eventually, we are aiming to automate the efficiency of the sales. So in the experience design, we will balance the two things. One is the time span. We increase the time span of the consumer in front of the shelf to improve the chance of the conversion. But the second, but the other thing is we also will improve the average conversion rate per time span, which means that we don't want a consumer to stay in our screen for too long without buying anything, right? We basically want the consumer to say, okay, if you stay for 30 seconds, you gotta buy something, right?
How do you do that?
For example, when a consumer pick up the products, lipsticks, for example, for holding the products for 5 to 10 seconds, maybe we think it's long enough for the consumer to get interested in that, and we will pump up the coupons for the consumer to redeem, and the coupon have the time limits, for example, 5 seconds to redeem it. So we can design the experience to do that. Yeah.
I see. So let's talk about your company, like organization, or like how do you like divide up the company itself? Like how many people on your team, and like are you like focusing on like how many people are focusing on product?
Sure. We now have more than 80 employees. We now have 85 to be correct. 75% of engineers. We're very tech-focused companies, so 75 are engineers. They are covering 4 different domains. One is Internet of Things. We developed our sensor fusion technology ourselves. The other is the second domain was the computer vision. We have cameras. We self-develop and optimize the algorithm to best apply in the retail settings. That's how we do. Why we need to have computer vision teams to always optimizing these algorithms in the particular settings. The third was of course software front end. In the back end, we have the software, very strong software part, both for the enterprise clients and for the consumer front end. The fourth is data. Because our originality, our founders was Facebook, and our CTO and both our CTO and the Chief Data Officer, CEO, both of them are also from Facebook. So we have very strong Facebook originalities. I would say the best part of that is they're very good at data. So we have a very strong data team. So this is the tech part. Besides that, we have the commercial team, including key accounts, client success teams, and also marketing and PR. We also have a supply chain, because we have the hardware part, so we have the supply chain management. Yeah, this is all the major groups of our companies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool that you're focusing on data and really tech driven. And I want to go back to ask you one question. So you're focusing on like beauty, like is that wine, and what other sectors?
Yeah.
Or like, are you trying to focus on more areas in the future?
Sure. So from our perspective, we see the categories of products into 2 different major groups. One is what we call the volume products. Basically, the functionality is quite standardized, and the consumer normally make it buying this purchasing decision very quick. They go to the store, they pick up products, and they leave. Right. For example, maybe the bottling water, right? Yeah. Bottling water, Coca-Cola will be the very good examples. But we focus the fundamentally the other side of these products, what we call the experience oriented. it means that it normally takes some time for consumer to make purchasing decisions. And it's very easy for the consumer to using contents and using the sales skills in store to drive the conversions for the consumers. These products has also very large groups of categories. For example, beauty, as you said, beauty is one, skincare, personal care, wine, alcohols, pharmacies, and consumer electronics. We can name a lot of these products. And these products have altogether become the major profit drivers in the retail sectors. So in the retailers, normally there is one very classic strategy is we're using volume products to attract the volume, and we're using experience products to make money. So that's how they did. Yeah,
that's cool. So you started in 2017. It's 2019. So in these 2 years, have you faced any challenges and how did you overcome them?
I think in different stages, the challenge will be quite different. And the first stage is normally finding the product market fit, right? Especially we are originally from a technologies companies. It's right. Really the first stage is really finding how this technology can apply to the market. What's the problems we're trying to solve, right? The second stage, what we call the business model. Is we find the product market fit, but how to scale quickly. What's the best way to scale? What's the most efficient ways to scale? So that's another thing. The ongoing process is also about the management, right? We are both our founding teams are quite young when we start up the whale. And we are managing a very different employees. They are from different industries. They have very different skill set, working cultures. How we're going to manage them and work at the one teams to achieve the company goals. So this is another challenging, and actually I think it's a very, very great learning experience for us to keep going keep growing with the company when it grows. Yeah.
That's cool. How did you how you talk about company management? So what is the hardest part managing a team, and so how do you come up with the company culture and make everyone feel that they're feel the belonging to your team?
Yeah. It's a very good question. I don't think I have the right answers. I'm still exploring. Yeah. I think I'm still exploring. But ultimately, I think there's several core values that I really believe in. One is, since we are what we call enterprise service business model, so we're serving our clients, mostly very large clients in the area. So I think one core value is I'm always believing is the client first, or the substitute. The substitute means that you put your clients at your first before the companies, even before the companies. This is what I really learned at McKinsey, for example. McKinsey is a company that they basically just sell PPT, right? They sell PPTs and give the clients and say the clients always and all these and serving. I would say the commanding chief in all these FMCG Global 500 companies, the CEOs in this company. Then the core value is we always think what the clients think, and we deliver beyond the client's expectation. So I think this is a very strong core values I'm always believing. The second is also, with that, you want the team to grow as well. You don't just say, okay, this is client want, this is I want. I want to deliver more, so you guys need to work harder, right? You always need to think about how to really grow with your team and make your team to learn being a better employee. So this is also what I learned. At McKinsey, it's very interesting. The managers and what we call the project teams, team members, the partners and the project team members have mutual power to pick each other. For example, if the partners, even if they have a very strong client base, if the client, the partner itself is not very good with person, especially with the team. Not many good consultants would like to work with him.
How do you see, like, I don't know, in 5 years, do you have, like, what's your future plan?
What we really do is, if we look at outside of the landscape or a little bit beyond the products itself, a solution itself we're providing, what we really do is we are making the retailers become a very strong marketing platform, a digital marketing platform for brands. Traditionally, the retailers, especially the brick model retailers, they are making money by two things. One is selling products from brands into the consumers, and they get commission. The second was selling the place. Each place they will making money by selling this place to the brands. But what we really create is digitalize the in-store experience so that the retailer can commercialize each consumer's volumes in the place, so that they can selling the marketing products, marketing solutions for brands. For example, take an example as our solution per se. Each shelf, normally in one settings, the retailers will charge maybe 3,000 to 4,000 RMB per month for brands to take that space. It turns out our solutions can increase 20 to 25% of their sales. So the brands were willing to pay 1,000 to 2,000 more per month for that particular space. Wow. So the retailers actually made additional revenues with that, and this is the new revenue source for the retailers. If you can see the online Alibaba, the revenue engine for Alibaba is Alimama, which is the marketing engines for Alibaba. Right? We will see the quite similar trends in the offline, that if we can digitalize the volumes, eventually we become the Alimama for our clients.
Right.
We become a marketing platform for the retailers. We have a partnership. We have partner with, and with the marketing platform, we have the brands also will more than welcome to join the platform, because they have much more effective marketing spending in their sectors.
Yep. Very cool. Okay, I guess one last question. So you just said that you and Jerry, you both like started the company when you're quite young. So do you have any advice for like young startup founders who are considering or like struggling?
I think for the young startups, that there is a time I was in Silicon Valley, and we have the group trip to Tesla and met Elon Musk. And Elon Musk said not to do it, just not to do it. What I'm telling you is that doing startup is definitely a very rough trip, especially when I'm in the startup. It's a VC-backed startup, very high-growing sectors. It's a very rough experience, but also very inspiring. Is
like think 3 times.
Yeah, you fully realize that what that means to you when you start up the trip. But if you fully realize it, or you somehow realize it, you still want to do it, and then you do it.
But how would you realize it before you started? Because you just have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Okay, thanks so much, Andy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
If you're hungry for more decoded insights on China's startup and tech landscape, or you've simply been enjoying our talks, good news, we're now live on iTunes. So leave a comment and let us know what you like and dislike about our show, and we will keep improving. Thank you, and until next time on China Innovation Decoded, powered by Microsoft for Startups Shanghai.